Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Mark here, and I've got a PE match for you today against Charizar. So jumping straight into the teams, we've got the Uber Troll Dugong, who I'll try and get another game with in the future, because it doesn't really do all that much here. I've also got a mono attacking Granbull, and then two Life Orb Sweepers in Parasect and Mothim, with Hippocool as my line of defence. On my opponent's side of the field, the big threats are going to be the Ghastly and the Emolga, because as you can see, my team does have a crippling weakness to Grass, Electric and Flying, so if I don't tread very carefully, then this game could well be over before I know it. So let's jump straight into it. So my opponent had 4 potential leads on his side of the field, with the Purugly, the Lairon, the Illumise and Emolga, as I just led with Dugong, as only Emolga was the unfavourable matchup there, and Dugong is my anti-stealth rocking lead, so I can just protect on the fake out and then proceed to go for the Whirlpool, just looking to try and trap whatever he U-turns out to, but he does in fact stay in and go for the return, which does a pretty hefty chunk out of my Dugong there actually. So the idea of Dugong is you Whirlpool first turn and then Encore second turn on whatever they're locked into, hopefully the stealth rocks, and then you can just proceed to toxic protect stall, residual stall opponents to the point of madness. So I didn't fancy trying to protect toxic stall against return, as I'm pretty sure it would have been 3-hit KO, even with protect and leftovers recovery in that. So instead I can just go out into my Hippo wall, the monolithic defensive titan that is Hippopotas, who can take crit U-turns like they're absolutely nothing, which knowing my opponent will switch out can just give me a free opportunity to set up those stealth rocks. So in comes the Ghastly, and 99% of Ghastlies in PU, they are going to be choiced, usually scarfed. And with it being early in the battle, I felt pretty confident that my opponent wasn't going to go for the T-Bolt, as I can just go into the cool part of the Hippocool core, his partner in crime, to take the Energy Ball. And that Energy Ball looks like it's going to be a 4 or 5 hit KO, so I know he's not going to want to stay in with Ghastly, seeing as though it is probably choice locked, as he just goes into the Emolga and can just get that safe knockoff. Now it does in fact knock off the Emolga's Flying Gem, which is really good news for me, because that does mean now that Hippopotas can completely shut down the Emolga, so that's one of his threats, now just completely neutralised with Hippopotas alive. As he does U-turn out, goes out to the Lairon, and I can just get that slack off, back up to about good 60% health. So I didn't really know what he was going to do here, I just went out into Dugong hoping he'd go for the Stealth Rocks, and I could just Encore him into it, but he does go for the Iron Head and gets the crit. Now at the time I thought that did matter, as Dugong is quite bulky, but it turns out later in the game that he is actually choice banded, and that is a huge threat. Lairon's with the choice band, with 90 base attack stat, with the no recoil head smash from its ability. That is just going to wreck. You've seen how much damage Aggron can do with the head smash in RU. So I go out into Granbull there, bluffing the fighting type move, completely forgetting that he has the Ghastly on his side of the field, which he then brings in, and that's just terrible news because my only attacking move is the Facade. So I have to switch out here, he knows that and makes the best play and goes for the trick, tricking my Parasect with the choice specs, and that's pretty bad news. The only thing I really would have wanted to get choice specs is the Mothim, and I can just go for the Spore now, hoping to try and spore the Ghastly, but he goes into the Lairon. He sees that as probably his most useful thing to get spored. So I can just go out into Rapture, threatening to set up with the Quiver Dances as he goes into the Illumise. I thought this was really good news, because Illumises and Volbeats are always the kind of trolley support sets. So I thought worst that could happen here was that he goes for the T-Wave, but no, he surprises me and goes for the Hidden Power Rock, which just completely wrecks me. I thought that was over, but incredibly I live on 11 HP and just take him out with the Air Slash. So that will be a double down here, and on the double down I just go into Parasect, because it is my least useful Pokemon. I can just threaten with the Seed Bomb anything that comes in, and it is in fact the Primplet, which is a really great matchup for me. I can just go for that Seed Bomb, as my opponent does go for the Icy Wind, which is a little bit strange. I've never usually seen that on Primplet before, but it makes sense because now I am slower than him, and he can just go for those Stealth Rocks. And Stealth Rocks are always good. You know, I've still got the... In fact, I've lost all 3 of my Pokemon that are weak to Stealth Rocks now, so they're not going to play as big a part as they would have played at the start of the game. But I can just take out the Primplet now, and that is a Choice Specs Parasect doing some work right here, as it just goes out into the Emolga. I can't really safely switch out into Hippopotas to take 2 Acrobatics, so I just leave him Parasect to die. He's done his part. So I can now just bring in the Hippopotas, safe in the knowledge that I can take any single hit from the Emolga and then just Whirlwind him out. But he does U-turn out and gets another crit there. Hippopotas is a crit magnet tonight for U-turns, and he goes out into the Ghastly, which is doubly good news for me now, because 2 things will be taking Stealth Rocks damage. So Lairon's brought in here from the Whirlwind, and I know he isn't going to want to stay in here, fearing that Earthquake, that 4 times effective Earthquake. So this is a good opportunity just to slack off, as he goes back out into the Ghastly. So this turn here, it did take a long time in the battle, there was a lot of thinking going on. I personally thought he would go for the Thunderbolt, predicting my switch to the Tentacool, but if he predicted that and went for the Energy Ball, knowing that I would stay in, then that was a very good play. But it's not a problem, because I can just go into Tentacool, who can definitely live 1 single Thunderbolt from the Ghastly, seeing as though he is now Life Orb and no longer Specs. And it does indeed, but I get paralysed on this turn, and I was like, no, I have to take out this Ghastly, I have to knock it out, otherwise Granbull can't come in and finish off his team. And luckily I don't get paralysed. If I got paralysed then Tentacool was off the team. But he does his job, takes out the Ghastly with the Scald, and in comes the Emolga to take me out, so it's now down to a 3v1 situation. Granbull versus the world. I can come in here. Can I take 2 acrobatics? He goes for that acrobatics. It brings me down to about half. But I can go for that bulk up now, and the bulk up combined with the leftovers recovery, it will mean that I can live on more acrobatics and go for the rest. So this is a perfect case in point here of the Granbull set. The idea is you bulk up a couple of times, and then when you're low on HP you can just rest up, and because Granbull's ability is the quick feat, which means that speed is raised by 1.5 when you're afflicted by a status condition, is that you can now outspeed. As you can see here, I can just outspeed with a sleep talk and go for that bulk up again. And because my only attack is Facade, I was thinking at the time that Facade works when you're asleep as well, so I was thinking, oh, it's going to be an unbeatable Granbull set. You've got 1.5 speed, you've got double Facade power when you're asleep, you're back on full HP, but unfortunately Facade only works with poison, paralysis and burn. So I may still keep Facade, I might change it up, I'm not sure yet. As you can see, it's walled by ghost types, but ghost types in PU aren't that common. There's only really Frillish, Lambent and Ghastly that's the only usage in PU. And I'm just going to speed this part up because it is quite stally, as the Laron does quad resist the Facade. And I'm just going to let the music play out to the end here, as you can watch Granbull take down the rest of his team. So that will be a good game. Thank you very much, Charizard. I hope you all enjoyed that. And also I'd just like to say thank you very much for all your continued support. I really do appreciate it. It does mean a lot. And with that being said, I will see you all next time. Goodbye.